Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome back. So in a previous episode, I recorded start to finish on how to fully lead quarter panels on our 68 Charger. Now I got a ton of questions on people wanting a little bit more in depth, a little bit more detail, step by step, everything involved. What does it take to lead a set of quarter panels or just lead a car in general? So figured I would just make a video dedicated to strictly leading, talk a little bit more through the whole process and show you guys on how to turn your quarter panel seams from this into this. All right, guys, let me start off by saying if this is your first time ever watching any of my videos, please check out some of the other content. We're building a 68 Charger, as you can see here. We've also got our 71 CUDA and a few other builds in the works right now. So if you like what I'm doing, please like, please subscribe, throw a comment below if there's anything else you'd like to see or any questions you'd like to ask. I respond to every single question you guys ask. So feel free to reach out if you guys need any extra help. So let's jump straight into it here, guys. I'm gonna run across my table. This is all the supplies that you're gonna need start to finish. Everything here can be either purchased at your local hardware store, your local grocery store, or from Eastwood's website. There's a whole bunch of different companies you can buy all this stuff through, but this is what I use and the process that I like to follow. First and foremost, let's start off and let's talk a little bit about the safety side of things, okay? So we're gonna be leading, we're gonna be generating fumes, we're gonna be generating dust, we're gonna be generating all sorts of things that are very, very bad for you, okay? Lead is a toxic metal. It can harm you. It can create some big, big issues with your body, okay? That said, you're generating dust, you're generating fumes, all that stuff is gonna end up landing on your clothes, and the last thing you wanna do after you're burning lead all day is run up and give your family or your kids a hug afterwards, okay? This stuff can transfer into your house, really hard to get rid of, so as soon as I'm done here, stripping down, going inside, cleaning off, showering out, okay? I'm not going to go into every detail of the hazards involved with leading, but just know really bad for you. Like I said, feel free to Google it, see everything that it can do, and you know, the best way to protect yourself, wear a P100 respirator here. I've got a 3M half mask. We'll be wearing this a lot, especially once we start heating up and burning the lead into the car. So I mentioned heating up and burning lead. You can either use oxyacetylene torch if you really, really want to, or if you're new at this, I would highly recommend a propane torch, very forgiving and very, very simple to use. You can control the heat really, really well. Next, the Eastwood tinning butter here. We're gonna use this in a combination of our copper scrub pads, as well as a set of vice grips, nothing too special there. Next, a bucket of cold water, baking soda, and some clean cotton towels. Now I will tell you, do not grab your clean towels off the shelf that you use for showering, okay? You're gonna end up ruining a set of towels with doing this. These are $2 or $3 at your local grocery store, hardware store. Buy yourself a set of towels that you can throw away after you're done. Next will be time for actually burning in some of the lead, and really the star of the show here, guys. I get this from Eastwood. It's not too expensive from there. I will say if you are you know, doing both sides or you're doing a lot of work, buy probably a little bit more than what you want. You know, I have 10 sticks here, and there's a pretty good chance that we're actually gonna use all 10 when we're doing just one side of the quarter, okay? So my car, the 68 Charger behind me here, is gonna take about 20 sticks in total. Now there is some that you can reclaim. There's gonna be pieces at the end that you burn off. You can melt it all down, create more sticks if you want to, but I always like to buy a little bit more than what I need to get the job done. Once we get it burned into the car, we're then gonna use our paddle and our tallow, again, eastwood.com. Also, grab a pair of your wife's favorite jeans, cut the leg off, and I'll show you guys kind of how and why I use this here in a little bit. But yeah, jean material works really, really good for what we're gonna do there. And then once it's onto the car and spread around, we're then gonna move on and file, okay? Now, you're gonna really wanna get a nice set of metal files for doing this. It can take off a lot of material really, really fast. I mean, sure, you can DA it if you really want to, but you're gonna go through a lot of sandpaper and you're gonna spend a lot of time sanding with that. So once we get it kind of roughed up onto the car, we can take our metal file here, takes off a ton of material, get it pretty close or at least somewhat flat, and then we're gonna DA from that point. So I'm just using Indasa 80 grit here on a DeWalt DA sander, nothing too special, but that's how we're gonna finish it when it's all done and get it ready for epoxy, for paint, for bodywork, wherever you're going after the lead work's done. So with that, guys, I'm going to grab my PPE, grab my torch, and we're gonna start heating up this panel, and I'll walk you guys through every single step of the process. Okay, now obviously you guys can hear my voice. I'm not currently wearing a respirator. I do have my garage door open. I have a fan next to me blowing that fume outside. And once we get into actually pushing the lead into the panel here, you guys will notice my voice will change because I'm going to be wearing my respirator, okay? Now, first step to doing this, as you guys can see here, I have everything already welded together, okay? Don't rely on your lead to hold the panels together without welding them, okay? Just real simple plug welds, grind those down, clean this up really nice. I've used a wire wheel to clean this up, and the surface is damn near perfect to start leading here. So first thing we're gonna do, we're gonna take some heat, and let me turn this down a little bit. That's not down. All right, just like that. So I'm gonna start heating this metal up nice and slow, okay? You don't wanna put a ton of heat into any specific place for too long of a period of time. Now you will see as you're doing this, don't be freaked out if your panels start to swell just a little bit, okay? As we're adding heat to this, it's gonna continue to heat up the panel, it's gonna expand, and you know, you could have, unfortunately, some warpage if you stay in one place for too long of a duration. So what I'm gonna do here, guys, now that the panel's nice and heated up, I'm gonna start just rubbing this tinning material in here, this tinning butter in, okay? Now what I want you to pay attention for when you're doing this is that you're gonna see this metal start to turn a different color, okay? As we're doing this, the process of tinning it is actually changing the composition of the metal to make it react and also to make it accept lead, okay? So get a little bit of heat in here. We're gonna start swirling this around a little bit. And you're gonna see your material here start to turn a yellow chrome color, okay? Now hopefully you guys are picking that up. You can see the material start moving around a little bit. And I hope you guys can see that, but it looks completely different color than the rest of the panel. And we're just gonna keep on doing this all the way down the entire quarter panel seam here. A little bit of heat, a little bit of tinning butter, and just rub it in. Now, another thing too that I like to do is that I like to tin more material than what I actually need. And by that I mean, you know, don't just, you know, mask off some lines here and tin, you know, 1 inch wide material. Your lead is gonna frankly get everywhere when you're doing this, okay? And so I like to go at least, you know, inch, 2 inches plus in either direction of the actual lead seam here, okay? Now it's really important, don't forget the dead center of this or anywhere where you've got welds, and make sure you really get in there because you want the entire thing tinned. All right, guys, so now that we have all of the surface tinned, okay, I've taken some of that baking soda, I've mixed it in with the bucket of water I got, nice clean rag, and we are going to start cleaning this panel off, okay? And again, as I'm doing this, number one, you are going to hear the metal, or the popping, the sizzling, the cooling of the panel, okay? But also, I'm really hoping that you guys can see the difference in what this panel looks like now. It's almost a chrome finish. It's like a, you know, silver finish on this whole thing. And the purpose of using the baking soda, it's gonna help neutralize the surface. You know, you'll see, and I saw it on a Gene Winfield video one time where he talked about, you know, seeing paint and, you know, coatings that go over the top of this fail as a result of not properly neutralizing the surface. So super easy step here, a little bit of added reassurance. And like always, whenever you're doing metal work, nice, clean panels are always the way to go. Alrighty guys, so this is the part of the process that freaks everybody out, and I'm not gonna lie, there's no easier part of the entire process than actually just getting the lead onto the panels. Now again, I stress it again and again and again, the tinning process is so critical, so crucial to this process. If you have not properly tinned the material, okay, your tin again will just, or excuse me, your lead stick will just melt, and it will just bead off like almost like water beads off of your panel here. Okay, you won't get very far before you realize that you got a big problem. Okay, now, you know, when you're doing this, you're not going to be stacking dimes per se, right? Okay, it's not like TIG welding where it's going to be big, you know, and beautiful. All you're trying to do is melt this lead, get it stuck to the panel. Okay, we're going to come back, and that's what our paddle and our tallow and everything else is for, is that, you know, once that's done, we're going to then come back and start smearing that lead all in here, filling all these voids and blending the two panels together. Okay, but for right now, the sole purpose of what I'm about to do is heating this lead up so that way it melts and sticks to my panel. Again, guys, don't need a ton of heat here. And we're just going to start at the top. So we're going to preheat our panel, and you're going to see some of this water start bubbling out of here, okay? At the same time, I'm going to start melting some of my lead, and you're going to see it turn a nice shiny finish just like that. And I'm going to heat both of these up together, and all I'm doing is pushing it into the panel and twisting. Okay, just like that. Heat up the lead stick, heat up the panel, and just push it right in. Okay, now the rate of cooling for the lead itself, it does hold temperature for a while, so as I go back to this, it really doesn't take a whole lot to kind of reactivate that lead and, you know, melt it again. So you want to be careful not to put too much heat all over this thing, and you know, all this will just start sliding down like it is right there, okay? So you want to avoid that. Okay, now when you start getting down to the little pieces of lead here, one thing that I like to do, because this gets really hot, it's starting to get warm right now, just take a pair of vice grips and hold the tip of that guy, because what you don't want is a ton of waste when you're doing this. But all those little pieces that are going to be left over at the end of this, you can actually melt back down again, and you know, basically have more lead sticks to use. All right, guys, so I've got about 7 sticks of lead melted into my quarter panel here. Now, if you're saying to yourself, wow, that looks like a bunch of bird shit on there, you'd be exactly right. Now is the time where we're actually going to start making this look somewhat presentable here, and we're going to do that using our paddle and our tallow. Now, when we do this, we're basically going to be smearing around that lead against the quarter panel, and through that we may identify some low spots. So it's always good leave a couple sticks left over, that just in case you have to go back, add a little bit more material, you can do that and then smear it in with your tallow. So first thing we're going to do, guys, is that I'm going to clean up this paddle a little bit and melt off some of our tallow that's left over on it. And to do that, super easy, we're just going to use a little bit of heat, and it melts right off here. Okay, so we're going to heat up our tallow here, just the surface of it, and you'll see it becomes liquid pretty fast. Doesn't take a whole lot of heat to do that. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm trying to coat the bottom of the paddle here, and that's so that way it doesn't stick to the lead, and it also doesn't burn when we go to actually start smearing it around. So, got a nice little coating on here. I like to take a set of jean material here and clean this off. You don't want a bunch of tallow caked onto your paddle here. You want almost like a matte finish, but you want it to be completely waxed with the tallow. I'm gonna hit that one more time here. See a little bit too much there in the end. Okay, that's exactly what I'm looking for right there. Okay, so as we go to start smearing this around, I want you to think almost like the consistency of smearing butter, okay? You don't want it melted to the point where it just runs off the car, because it will. If we left the torch on this, all this stuff would just burn off. You want it to be just to the point where it's almost like smearing, or spreading butter, okay? So we're gonna do a little bit of heat here. I always like to push up with the paddle, just with gravity, it's always gonna come down, okay? So let's start melting this. Come around here. And you'll start to see it turn liquid. Or start to at least get a little bit shiny here. Okay. Not quite ready to move yet. And there it starts to go. Okay. And now what I'm trying to do here is smooth it out, and I want to also bridge the gap on each side of the quarter panel there, and I want to just create a nice transition across there with the lead. And again, after this, we're going to come back, we're going to file it, we're going to sand it. You're not going to have a perfect surface here that you can just go throw paint on, okay? Alrighty, you guys, so now that we've got at least our lead paddled flat, or at least as flat as I'm going to get it before I start filing here, it's time to grab our flat file. Now think of this just like as you would a sanding block here, okay? You got a flat surface, you want a flat file on this, okay? You wouldn't want to use your round file here. You want to create a nice flat transition between your roof skin and also your quarter panel. So I'm gonna show you guys here a couple strokes, what it looks like here, and you're gonna see just how fast the material here moves off. And then I'm gonna grab my respirator, and I probably won't do a ton more talking after that until this is finished. Alrighty, you guys, and with the final hit with the DA, our rear quarter panel is leaded. And I'm very happy with how it turned out. We got a nice smooth transition between our roof skin and our quarter panel. And at this stage is where we would take a wire wheel, you know, sandblast, whatever you're gonna do to strip the material, get the car in epoxy, and then move it on to body and paint work. So I hope this video made it look a little bit easier than what you were thinking, and I promise you guys, it's not that bad, okay? Worst case scenario, you screw the whole thing up, you burn it out, you start over again. So it's kind of like body filler, but a whole lot easier to remove with a little bit of heat, and it's a lot more fun to remove than body filler. So, but if you haven't done so yet, guys, hit that subscribe button. If you have any other ideas for DIY videos that you guys would really like to see, whether it's on the Charger, the CUDA, or any other ideas for fab tips or anything like that, drop them in the comments below and give me some ideas for the next video. So with that, I'll see you guys next time. Take care.